Alright, so this video will focus on Chapter 5, Section 1. And before we get started, I want you to take a look at this chart here. Pause the video and try to figure out for 30 minutes um, how much of an hour is that? Or for 15 seconds, how many minutes is that? And convert all these things. So let's pause the video. Alright, so now that you went through, hopefully you realize that 30 minutes is a half an hour, so 0.5. In terms of 4 hours, in terms of minutes, that would be 4 times 60. So that'd be 240. For 15 seconds, I would take 60 minutes, or 16 seconds in a minute, and divide it by 15, and I get 1/4, or 0.25. For 60 hours, how many days is that? You'd take 60 divided by 24, and you get 2.5. For 3 days, and then convert it to hours. If there's 24 hours in a day, it would be 24 times 3, so you get 72. And then finally, for 1 week, which is, well, we got to figure out 24 hours in a day, right? So then 24 times 7 is 168 hours in a week. So what we're doing today is we're going to see how to rate problems describe real life problems. And it says here that, work through these various situations and try to figure out when you actually use this. So if I have like 1/2 a cup divided by 4 fluid ounces, this is a really good mixture problem. A lot of these things occur whenever you're cooking or doing something with time. So if I have 1/2 cup for 4 fluid ounces, that means that I'll have 1 full cup. So I'll say 1 full cup for every 8 ounces. And this is just a rate, so I know how much is in like how many ounces are in a cup. There's 8 ounces. For this here, it says 2 inches for every 3/4 of a second. So what I could do here is I could get rid of this denominator, and I can multiply both sides by 4. So watch what I do here. So if I do 2 inches over 3/4 seconds, if I multiply this by 4, then I can cross cancel, right? It would be 4 over 1. And it'd just be 3 seconds here, but I have to do the same thing up top, so times 4. So I can rewrite this and say 8 inches for every 3 seconds. And then we can keep on doing this for all these. So that's basically how you go through and clear them out. For this one, I'd clear it out with a 5. I'd multiply both sides by 5. This one, I'd clear out both sides by multiplying 3 to both. So then it says here, identify, so a communication satellite in orbit travels 18 miles every 4 seconds. So my unit rate is going to be miles per second, right? So I'm going to have 18 miles over 4 seconds. And let's figure out the unit rate. So what is 18 divided by 4? So if I take 18 and I do 4, I know that goes in 4 full times, that's 16. So 4.5. So 4.5 miles for every 1 second. And the benefit to going through and figuring out for 1, this is called unitizing, or making a unit rate. Basically just solving for 1, right? The benefit of that is I can now figure out whatever I want. So if I want to figure out 60 seconds, let's say, I would multiply both sides by 60, and I can figure out how many miles it goes in 60 seconds. So let's just do that real fast. So I'm going to go through here and go to calculator, and let's do 4.5 times 60. And so that means it goes 16,200 miles in 1 minute. That seems crazy. Let's just try that one more time. So if I go back through here again, I think that didn't sound right to me. So again, I'm doing 4.5 times 60. That makes more sense to me. 270. So I go 270 miles for every 1 minute, which is pretty interesting. And again, all that I did is I took my unit rate, which was 4.5 per second, and multiplied by 60. And that's how I get 270. So I can then go through here and enter in these things. So for 4, it's 18, right? Let me just write this out. So I'll say 18. For 8, that means it's double, right? That'd be 36. And then for 12, it would just be another 18. So if I just go through here and keep on adding 18 to it, so 54. And another 18, so 72. And another 18 would be 90. So it's kind of interesting. Now it says, what is it, miles per hour? Well, we just did that when I unitized it. That's a nice thing, because it says how far in 1. So again, that's how I did here, the 4.5 over 1 second. And it says how far does it travel in a half a second? So if I would figure out half a second, I'd have to figure out half of 4.5 as well, which would be 2.25 miles in 1/2 second. All right. For this one here, it says, describe a situation where this may work. Well, let's say I get 22 miles for every 1 gallon of gas, right? So like in my truck, I get 22 miles per gallon. And if I have 10 gallons left in my truck, I can figure out how many miles I should be able to go. And you just take 10 times 22. You'll notice that the gallons actually cancel out. Let me show you how that looks. So I'll go here in new, and I'll just put down 10G, and it's really 10G over 1, right? Times 22 miles over gallons, or G. And what I'm going to do here, first of all, is cancel out the things I can. So I can cancel out this G and this G here. They cross cancel. And 10 times 22 equals 220 miles. And that's the answer. Let's say that I have 7.5 pounds or 7.5 pounds of spaghetti noodles. And I know that it's $3 for every half a pound. Well, I can now go through and figure how much money it will cost here. So let's do that right now. I guess the first thing I'd do is I'd figure out what it is per pound. So if it's a half a pound, it's $3. Let's just write this down. So 3 is for a half a pound. What would it be for 1 pound? And it would be, this would be times 2, right? So this would be times 2. So it'd be $6 for 1 pound. And now that I know that, I'm going to get 7.5 or 7.5 pounds. So 7 over 2 times 6 over 1. I cross cancel here, and it becomes $21 for this much pasta, 3.5 pounds of pasta. And then finally this one here, it's a half a second times this. So this is 30 feet per second. I'm going for half a second, so that'd be 15, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and figure out there are 45 males and 60 females in a subway car. The subway car travels 2.5 miles in 5 minutes. So find the ratios of males to females. So the ratio is just what I have here. So I have 45 to 60. And I can actually reduce this down. I can take a 15 out, right? So in this case, I have 3 to 4. So that's the ratio, 3 to 4. That's the males to females. Now, if it was females to males, it would be 4 to 3. It all depends on how it's being said. It says find the speed of the subway car. So it goes 2.5 miles in 5 minutes. So I'm going to say 2.5 miles in 5 minutes. And let's say I want to figure out like miles per hour, right? Well, then I want to make it how many minutes here? 60. And I have to figure out what the scale factor is between these two. And it would be 12, right? So times 12. And then I have to multiply this one times 12 as well. And so if I take 2.5 I get 30. So it goes 30 miles for every 1 hour. All right, so that's that one. This one here says, if you look at it, it's going up by times 4 every time. This is also going up by times 4 every time. It says this shows a cost of different amounts of artificial turf. Find the unit rate in dollars per foot. So I want dollar, which would be like the 100. So I'm going to write this down, dollar per foot. So I'll put dollar over foot. I say that because you can take any one of these that you want. Let's just take like the 400 divided by 100. So I'll put 400, which is a dollar amount, right? Divided by the 100 feet. And when I do that, I can simply divide these things off. and I get $4 for every 1 foot. And that's what it is per unit rate. So it says find the ratio of female to males, which I did before. I said that it was 4 to 3. Find the ratio of females to total passengers. Again, we're back at 45 and 60, right? Is that what it was? So if I look here, I have 45. This is the male and female. The total would be female would be 60 to the total, which would be 105, right? And it says the ratio table shows the distance of International Space Station travels while orbiting Earth. Find the speed in miles per second. Okay, so I want to find, right now I have 14.4 miles per 3 seconds. So let's go through here and divide this out. So again, I want to have miles per second. And the miles here are 14.4 divided by 3. And let's just divide those two things. And again, you could use calculators here. This is not an issue. So I'm going to have 14.4 divided by 3. And I get 4.8. So it'll be 4.8 miles per 1 second. And let's just see if it works. If I plug in a 6 here, right? If I go 6 seconds, so 4.8 times 6, and that's 28.8, which is what I had here. So this will work with any number that you enter in. I could take my 4.8 times, let's say 12, and I will get 57.6. This one here says a graph shows the speed of a subway car. Find the speed in miles per minute. So if I look here, the very first thing you want to see is that I go, it looks like the first one is my x term, so I go 1/4 of a mile in half a minute. I'm going to put that up here. 1/4 of a mile in 1/2 minute. Now, of course, I want to make this equal to 1 whole minute, right? So I'll say times 1 minute. And so I have to figure out what I have to multiply by to get this. And I have to multiply by 2, right? So I have to do the same thing to the top, times 2. And this becomes 2/4 or 1/2, right? So I go 1/2 mile in 1 minute. Next one says, does the ordered pair 3 and 1/2 work? 1.5 work. Well, if I plug in 1/2 times 3, that would be 3/2, which equals 1.5, right? So it totally works. For this next one here, it says I have a 1/2 cup of yellow paint and 3/4 of blue. And it says to make 15 cups of green paint altogether is what I'm looking for. So there's a couple ways you could do this. The way that this book suggests is that first of all, you figure out how much total or how many total cups you have. If I have 1/2 plus 3/4, I have to of course first have my common denominator, so I'll have 2/4 and 3/4. So for one full batch, it would be 5/4, right? And what I want to do is I want to figure out how many total batches I need to get to 15. Well, we know that if you multiply 5/4 times 4, you will have, these will cross cancel, and you'll just have 5 cups. So right now I multiply by 4, and then and that's what's being represented right here. And then to get from 5 to 15, I have to multiply by 3. So times 3. And that would become 15 cups, right? Now, all together, I multiplied by 4 times 3, which is 12. So if I take 1/2 times 12, I will get 6, which is what this answer is right here. And if I take 12 times 3/4, so I'll do 3/4 times 12. And notice I'm just entering in these initial numbers. This will cross cancel, and this becomes a 3, and this becomes a 1. And 3 times 3 equals 9. And 9 plus 6 is my 15. I have 6 of the yellow and 9 of the blue, and that will equal a total of 15. All right, so how much yellow and blue paint do you use to make 20 cups? So we do exactly the same thing that we just did a moment ago. We start off with my 2/4 and 3/4, This is my yellow, of course, and this is my blue, I think. Right? Is that what it was? So, oops, I have it backwards. So let's just do this again. Let's say 2/4 yellow and 3/4 blue. And I want to get down to 20. So in this case, I'd have to take this, and I want to first of all multiply it by 4, because then I get rid of it. And so I just have my 3 cups, right? Oh, I'm sorry. So I have my 5/4, and I want to multiply by 4, because then I'll have just my 5 cups. And then I have to take 5 cups times 4 to get 20 cups. So altogether I multiplied 4 by 4, or a total of 16, right? So my scale factor is 16 times bigger. So I have to go 2/4 times 16. This will cross cancel. This will become 4 and 1. So this becomes 8. So that's for the yellow. And then for the blue, I do my 3/4 times my 16. Again, cross canceling. And I have my 1 and my 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. And when I add up 8 plus 12, I do get my 20 cups. And these are the numbers of cups I get for each one. And that is the law.